I'm going to talk to you about what we do in the Network Infrastructure Directorate. I'm going to talk to you about what our priorities are, what our mission sets are, and where we're going to be focused over the next year. And then I'm going to give you some of the things that you really want to see is what are the contract opportunities you're going to have that we're working with DITCO on to make sure that we get out to the field to support. In the Network Infrastructure Directorate, I'm responsible for providing network capability, both classified and unclassified capability for the Department of Defense. We do that at about 1,100 different locations. It shows 3,500 sites on the chart, but those are smaller sites that we really don't count. They're kind of remote sites, but 1,100 main locations that we support. We handle all of the network infrastructure for the unclassified and classified networks, both terrestrial, undersea cables, which kind of creates its own challenges within itself, and then things that people don't commonly think of is the satellite communications. We do not do military Satcom capabilities, but we do the commercial Satcom capabilities. We have some services that we provide called enhanced mobile satellite services that we provide as well. Lots of gateway kind of niche solutions that I'll talk to you a little bit about in the next couple of charts. And then we actually provide coalition support, the sustainment aspects of providing coalition networks that connect into the DoD. We commonly call the network that I maintain the DISA, the Defense Information Systems Network. That is a component of the DoD. It's a DoD version of the DoD, but the DoD goes beyond just what we do in the Department of Defense. My aspect of that is that core aspect of the network. So before I get into what we do, I need to help you understand where we need to go. Today, we need to make this network plug and play. Now, you've heard a lot of folks talk about the network being a commodity, the network being a utility. You talk about having multiple devices connected across the networks from anytime, anywhere, all of those kind of cool kind of things. But if I think about it and I want to compare it to what I do at home, it won't be just like you do with your mobile phone. You have never asked the question once what network your mobile phone is connected to. I've never heard anybody ask that question. You never once asked, how can I get an application installed? Nor have you filled out a long form to get a service request. If you want connectivity around the globe, you don't put in a telecommunications service request. You don't do anything called a telecommunications service order. You don't even know about the acquisition stuff that goes on in the background. You just download the app, pay the fee if there's a fee, and then you start utilizing the application services, right? All of those things are the things that happen behind the scenes, but you as a customer, you never see it. Some of those services go across satellites, some of those services go across terrestrial, some of those go across undersea cables. Same infrastructure that we use, commercial companies use as well, but you, the user, never think about it. You never think about the network security, the cyber protections, because you assume that it's there. What we want to do with the network and what this grand design is for us to build out the network in a way so that the people in the Department of Defense never have to worry about the network. It becomes a utility. Sort of like when you plug into an electrical outlet, you just expect electricity to be there, right? No matter what device or capability you plug into it, you just expect it to work. What I'm doing with the network between now and 2023 is to build that network out so that we can do that faster. We want to make the network a utility that you never have to think about. It's just there. So if we want to get there, we got to transform how we do transport. Today, we provide terrestrial capability and we provide satellite capabilities. That's commonly known, but what's not utilized very well in the department that we will utilize is why are we not utilizing cellular capability? Why are we not using more Wi-Fi capability as part of our transport offering? Now, that does not mean that we're going to go out and buy cell towers, because that's not going to happen. We're going to utilize those towers that are already available in the commercial space, add some special sauce to them, some encryption to them, and then utilize those capabilities as part of our transport offering. So we want to look at different ways to deliver services and capability to the warfighter, no matter where they are on the globe. If you take a country like Africa, they're already up on Wi-Fi. Now, do we want to spend billions of dollars building out a terrestrial infrastructure there, or should we be trying to leverage the Wi-Fi there? I would think that we would try to leverage what's already there that's commercially available, utilize those services to deliver capability to the warfighter, and then plug that back into our Department of Defense network. So The transport of the future is what we want to do right now. We want to begin to leverage different kinds of capability in doing that. Now, you heard about the geo-orbit satellites. We want to begin to use the mid-orbit satellites and the low-orbit satellites as well, so that we can be able to provide high bandwidth throughput through satellite capabilities, something that we haven't commonly done in the past, but we are partnering today with a company to do that, to deliver MEO capabilities in Korea first, and then we're going to do that across the enterprise, is making that as part of our terrestrial backbone service offering. So when I look at the network, and it's going to be a test after this, I want to know what every device on this chart is and how it connects into the network. So I'm going to start on the left side to give you a test, and I'm going to move to the right, expecting you to understand every wire that I have on this chart. Nah, I'm just kidding. What I want you to know is that our network infrastructure today connects to the internet. We have a network boundary where we provide that. We're called go through our internet access points. We have 10 of those that protects us from the outside networks to our Department of Defense networks. Then we have satellite capability that we plug into the same common core. And we have coalition services from a variety of different nations that plug into our network. They get their service from us. Today we have 31 kind of friendly nations, and then we have about 50 other nations that we call frenemies that kind of connect into our networks as well, that we provide services to. We have both our special users, our national leadership command authorities that connect into our networks as well. And we have classified and unclassified users and a variety of types of mission partners. And our computing centers all connect into our networks. And we also connect to the cloud networks as well. So everything from unclassified to top secret networks, from the internet to our DoD networks, all connect into this common infrastructure we call the DISA. On the infrastructure side, this is just the infrastructure, network infrastructure, the service that we provide. We're supporting about 150,000 multinational coalition partners around the globe, 100+ different nations that are currently utilizing or consuming our coalition services. We have 8 mobility type gateways, mobility meaning mobile, but not necessarily a DMCC device. We have DMCC as well, and we also have the unclassified devices as well. But in this case, mobile meaning any types of mobility type devices that we support. 48 gateways, 12 of those are large gateways that support those. Some of them we call teleports, that we provide access to our tactical users, and we're going to begin to use those for strategic capabilities and connections as well in our networks. Our backbone, we say 17,000 circuits, but that's just the ones that are on the backbone itself. There's thousands or more, tens of thousands or more circuits that we call access circuits that connect to the network as well. So there are lots of various types of connectivity we have to our networks. And then we have special communication where we have direct access for 31 nations where they actually pick up a device or pick up a phone or pick up a computer, and they directly talk to people in the White House or talk to the Secretary of Defense, where we provide support to those key leaders around the globe, and we give them mobile capabilities to do that, and they leverage both our terrestrial as well as our satellite communications to do that as well. And then we provide connectivity to GRSS and other capabilities like that as well for robust connectivities for the Department of Defense. So if I was looking at where I wanted to focus within the network layers, we break the network infrastructure up into 3 components. And I did it this way so you can better understand what we talk about when we talk about network infrastructure. There's what we call the core, the services edge, and then there's the access. The access meaning how a customer connects into our network, how they plug into our network. To do that, we're going to be doing technology refresh that eliminates legacy technologies that will allow people to connect in our network faster. We're putting in what we call gray services. Gray services meaning we want to blur the line between the unclassified, the classified, the internet, and other types of connectivity so you can connect with any device based on how you authenticate and how that device is authenticated. You plug it to the network, and you're able to access information based on your need. And based on that need, you'll be able to plug into our network to consume those services. Today, you have to have a different device. So if you're doing unclassified networks, you have to use unclassified devices. If you go to a secret network, we give you another set of devices. If you go to TS, we give you more devices. So you can literally walk around with a bag of devices depending on who you are in our networks. Working across DISA, we're going to be able to eliminate a lot of that so that you'll be able to use what we call gray services so that you, based on your authentication or your identity, which is being done by Mr. Alfred Rivera's team, based on the devices that you can connect to, which Mr. Alfred Rivera's team is working on as well, you'll be able to plug into our network with those devices and then utilize that network infrastructure, and the network will be able to allow you access to whatever that needed capability are. And some of those applications might be applications that's in our computing systems, or some of them might be applications that are in the cloud. But based on how you authenticate, we're going to allow you to be able to connect to those services edge. That's where we're laser focused on doing that this year. On the services aspect, we got to make sure that services like MPLS, classified and unclassified aggregation routers, all those implementations are in place so that you as a customer doesn't need to worry about it. So if you in industry are looking at where I'm focusing on what part of the infrastructure, these are the 3 components of the infrastructure. These are the things that are this year are the most important things to me to be focused on from a technology refresh standpoint. Now there's an operational aspect to this that I didn't talk about, where we're going to need operational support because we want to be able to operationalize every component in the network. So our folks in our operations centers be able to see what's going on in the network anytime, anywhere, based on the visibility of the network. Today, that's multiple network operation centers that support those. An example would be, if you talk about commercial Satcom, our folks can't really see that. They're blind to that. They need to be able to see what's going on even if we got a service of a commercial Satcom. How do we allow that to happen? How do we begin to use some of these things as services as well? So in the network portfolio, I kind of broke it up in 2 parts. I broke it up to things you commonly see as terrestrial and things that you commonly see as Satcom. So the first aspect of that, if you look at your upper right, it looks at the DISA Optical Transport node, the terrestrial transport. We're looking at optical transport. We're looking at how we manage the optical fibers with leases that we get from the commercial service providers. We're looking at how we evolve both the NIPRNet and the SIPRNet so that those common terms that we use today for classified and unclassified network, they cease to exist. You just plug into the network, and how you authenticate it, then the network provides you access to that. And then obviously we want to be able to provide lots of virtual private networks to allow folks to do and manage stuff within their community by just virtually separating. A good example where we're doing this very well is with the medical community. We're doing that. We're doing it with several other classified users where we have communities of interest where they're actually plugging in our network, and we're virtually separating them on the same devices where we weren't able to do that in the past. On the gateways, we have mobile gateways that go after our DoD enterprise travel kits, but we also want to use the same gateways for our DMCC devices. So I'm working with Mr. John Hickey and his team so that we can blur those gateways so that we have one common set of gateways that we can leverage for our mobility applications. Something we don't talk a lot about is our organizational messaging. We still have those submarine messages messages, and the Navy uses our capability quite a bit on their ships, where we actually put out message to authenticate a tasking order, right? So if you're going to actually shoot a missile, you probably want to verify that you should shoot the missile. So part of what that does is allows you, from a command authority, to know that that communication or that authority to actually execute is something that you actually should do before you blow up a country by accident. So we're actually turning that into a capability that is more survivable, meaning that we're using some IP, but we have backup capability to that as well, because we're worried about some of the cybersecurity aspects of it as well, because that's not something we want to get hacked in case you have to shoot a missile. Then special services. We actually provide and support one of the internet gateways. So there are several root servers across the internet. One of those is called groot. We are responsible for that for the entire internet. Billions of transactions go across that network per day. And I'm sure that at home you probably use those, so make sure that you're using it properly, because you're using a DoD asset when you're doing it. But we actually provide some services for the internet, and we're part of that community of service providers. There's 2 U.S. company organizations that do that, and there's lots of other, not a lot, but there's about 8 other countries that provide service and support as well. On the coalition side, this is one of the fastest growing areas. Coalition community is plugging into our networks, and we're providing services to them, voice, data, video, and other types of applications. And it's important that we do that because we don't fight alone. We always fight with other countries, and we need to make sure that they can utilize our network assets, and we can utilize and share information among each other, our mission partners. The important aspect to that for me is we put in these things called virtual data centers that allow us to do that faster. It leverages software-defined networking, and we want to use it not just for coalition, not just for our gateways, but we want to use software-defined networking to define how we build our networks of tomorrow. We're doing it today with layer 3, layer 2 VPNs for software-defined networking. I want to be able to isolate, use software-defined network to move traffic around. I want to use software-defined networking to be able to, if we have a cyber event that happens in the network, that we can control that event using software-defined networking, sort of like a lot of the commercial companies can do today. But what I found from you in industry is that you got some really cool charts with some really nice pictures, but when we ask you to do it, not so much, right? So I'm looking for those companies that can actually do it on a live network today. We've done the research and development. That part works out very well. But we need to be able to, if we're going to do software-defined networking to get where I think you've heard General Lynn talk about, and you've heard several others talk about software-defined networking, I'm going to be honest with you, I think we're beyond talking. I think we should do it. And then if you can do it, you need to come see us because start with Mr. Hickey and his group. But we want to put it in the network right now. And we want to be able to do some of those things that are on your charts right now. So we need your help to make sure that when you come in, show us where you've operationally done it. And if you haven't done it, be honest with us and say you haven't, but show us that you can get it done, something in less than 6 months. Most folks come in to see me, they talk about stuff that's going to be 2 years from now. I am so not interested in something that's going to happen 2 years from now. That would be on the development side, so you need to go talk to Mr. Alvaro Rivera and his team. For me, I need it right now. So I need something I can plug into a network, I can utilize, and I can deliver to the warfighter today to make those missions better. I want to use software-defined networking to better operationalize the network. Can we do things where we have routine tasks that always happen on the networks? Can we use software-defined networking to handle some of those routine tasks, right? So we run out of bandwidth. Can we auto-route that using software-defined networking? Do I have to have people to do that? I read it in the books. It says that you can do it, right? If I have an event on the network and on the East Coast, can I isolate that event on the East Coast, move that customer to somewhere else without anybody engaging so that that can happen? I read it in your books that you guys all wrote. It says you can do it. I want to do it. So come in and show us how you can really do it, because we really want to use software-defined network. Can I use that over satellite? I heard it before. So come in and show us how we can do it. So if you can do it, come in and do it. But if you can't do it, stop telling everybody else you can. Because you're not doing us any favors, right? So do us a favor, make sure that when you come in, let's get this going. Senior leadership communications. Can we provide the same kind of capabilities to some of our other leaders that we service with other countries? Can you help us secure that capability? Can you help us monitor that capability? Can you help us operationalize and support that capability in the 31 countries that we directly support and the hundreds of other countries that we don't directly support? On the Satcom portfolio, we have a lot to get. We have the gateways I talked about earlier. We have the 48 gateways, the 12 large ones. We're leading the evolution and integration of those enterprise gateways. I want to make Satcom just like a terrestrial service, right? It should have the same levels of scalability, same level of operational capability, the same levels of information sharing, the same speed of service delivery, and the same survivability. So I want high throughput, low latency, right? Some of it we can get from you. Some of it we should just buy, right, and just buy the service from you. We're open to all kinds of ideas of how we get those services, but the services got to work, and it's got to work now, and it's got to work and be able to support our warfighters. So high bandwidth, low latency is what we need so that we can actually plug some of these things into some of our data centers. Enhanced mobile satellite services, it's an enterprise service that we provide for a subset of our users. We're about to recompete that contract. Those that are interested in that kind of capability, please come in and see us, and we can talk about that as well. On the Pathfinder on the commercial side, we're looking at places where we could actually find faster ways to deliver that service. So we looked at how can we make it cheaper for the Department of Defense by aggregating our buys so that multiple commercial customers come in us to get services, but how can we aggregate that so that we get better buying power for the Department of Defense? How can we take that same capability and operationalize it so that we can see the same things that you can see in the commercial network operation centers that we can see in our Department of Defense operation centers? And then more importantly is how can you help us work with some of the folks in Congress so that we can actually go beyond just buying this from year to year? Because right now the laws don't allow us to buy it, but on the task order, we can only buy it from year to year. I think you would give us better pricing if we can buy it for 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years, perhaps even 10 years as a service. So we're not going to be able to change that, but we need you to help us change that. And the only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to change it with Congress. And since y'all tell on us anyway, you might as well go in and tell them that you need to help us get this part done. So here are the contracts that we have going. The biggest one, I think, that most folks are about is GSMO operations for sustainment and, of the DISA. It's going to be a it's going to be over $5 billion. It's going to be able to provide the sustainment of the entire DISA, which is about $24 billion network. It's going to provide all the equipment maintenance for that as well. We're also going to have the ability to actually add some of the computing pieces, but not initially. The scope of the contract will allow for us to do that because we have lots of things that we're doing, but we're adding the computing scope of work to that so that the people in our on our ecosystem, in our services area, if they choose to use it, it is a vehicle that will allow them to use that as well. And there's some other areas that we've expanded in there as well. So the current projected award of the third quarter of 2019, we do not plan to be late. We plan to award on time. We got some great folks at DITCO that are working very hard to make sure that we award that on time. And then we don't want you to protest either. So when you don't win, do not protest. All you're doing is delaying us actually delivering service. And the next two are commercial Satcom contracts that are coming out on schedules as well. Technology refresh, this is for the Defense Information System Network. We're going to spend about $125 million tech refreshing the network. These are some of the focus areas, not all of the focus areas. These are all individual task orders that will be competed on a variety of different kinds of contracts, depending on working with our procurement activity to make sure that we pick the right procurement vehicle. I'm sure we will use existing procurement vehicles if they exist, like the Encore 3 and SETI when it's awarded, and other contracts like that. But these are the kinds of services that will be coming across on that contract. It's about, again, $100+ million on that particular one for technology refresh. And the next two, again, are commercial Satcom capability. In commercial Satcom, we do about $500 million a year in commercial Satcom every year. It's projected to be 6 to 650 in FY18 on commercial Satcom capability because we're making it part of how you deliver the transport for common users, not just for tactical users as well. These three are the Army Network Enterprise. One is the specific bandwidth. These are all ones where we're buying commercial Satcom capability for the department in various areas. These are all customers coming to DISA to acquire services for them on our commercial Satcom contracts. These, we put out kind of an energy forecast. It's like a note that we put out that says what we're planning to do. It's not always current, if I'm being honest, but this is what we're doing this year. More commercial Satcom. On the DTO contract, the Design, Transition, and Operation Support Services contract, this is where we're going to go out for coalition services in order to support the combatant commands, as well to help them bring up the current capabilities that we have deployed in the field, meaning letting them bring their mission enclaves into our virtual data centers that already exist. The current award is wide open. So we're looking for anybody that's interested in doing this. The folks that's had it for 20 years, they're going to miss it because this is going to be a new award that's going to go out. EMSS, we talked a little bit about that one. If you're interested in that, that's a $750 million effort. That if you're interested and you can provide that service, we're open to talking to you about that as well. On the UC telephony engineering, that's a recompete. This is an engineering task order in support of some of the voice video data capabilities that we currently have in the field that we're currently sustaining. And there's more. So the implementation project support for the DISA. This is one that where folks directly support all of the mission capability we have in the DISA. We're looking to award that in the fourth quarter of 2018. RFP is scheduled out for the second quarter, so it'll be coming out pretty soon. Once it's awarded, we're looking for, and again, everything you show here is wide open. So that's a question the industry commonly asks me, are you really looking for someone new? Why would we put it on the chart if we weren't looking for something? We're looking for whoever can do the work. So whether it's the incumbent that wins it, great. If it's not the incumbent that wins it, great. But we're looking for whoever can provide that service to us. So everything, at least in this area of the infrastructure, is wide open for delivery of services. So we need you, industry, to help us with solutions that help us move the network forward. What I tend to get is folks come in and tell me what we already have and tell me how we can keep what we already got. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in moving this multi-billion-dollar network forward. And I'm looking at moving it forward right now. So virtualization, something I want to do right now. Access and supporting the cloud is something I want to do right now. So if you have a capability that you can replace, where you can provide this capability through the cloud, I'm interested. If you can help us provide connectivity and save the department money as well as help us with our operational capability, I'm interested. But we want to support mobility. Everything you do for us need to be able to support mobility. If you bring in a capability that we can't put on a mobile device, I'm not so interested. We need to be able to make sure that whatever we can do can be moved to a mobile device as a mobile application as well. And we want to do that right now. And then if you bring something, make sure you can secure it. Because if you can't secure it and you can't pass the DoD security standards, then it's not much we can do because the security standards have to be met. Cyber is a big deal. So we want to encrypt everything across our network, whether that's commercial encryption or whether that's DoD encryption. We're interested in providing us capability to help us do that. And we want to use commercial services. So if you have a service where you can provide me infrastructure for a certain part of the world as a service, we're interested. Now, you talk to some folks on my team, they might not be as enthusiastic as I am, right? But so talk to me and we'll move it forward. Because we have to change the way we deliver service and capability in order to meet the vision that you've heard so many of DISA's leaders, starting with General Lynn, talk about. That vision is real. Our job is to make sure that that happens. And as long as I'm in this job, we will do that. So whatever you can do to help us do that as the industry, and we can't do it without you. We're looking for something different than what we already do. So if you can help us do that different, I'm the guy you need to talk to. All right, with that, I'll address any of your questions. I got 2 minutes to address your one question.
One question. Does DISA have the funding to support the do it now ideal?
Yes. We have funding to support everything I just showed you, right? So if we weren't able to do it, I wouldn't put it on the chart. So the 3 areas that I'm really focused on, laser focused on, is enhancing the network. That's software-defined networking primarily. That's gray services primarily. We're doing that right now. We want to eliminate legacy technologies. That's taking out all of the stuff that we have in the network and moving to IP the capability right now. So we have the funding to do that. And the other part is making the network more survivable. We have the funding to do most of that, but not all of that, because some of those build-outs require us to put in fiber that's going to be 6,800 miles long in some parts of the United States. But there might be a better way to provide that service, because we typically go to the folks that we know. If there are some of you that can actually provide that service differently, but yet give us that connectivity and survivability we need for our computing centers, as well as our cloud access points, then I'm open to that as well. But everything we have here is things that we plan to do and that we have funding to do.